Hello, and welcome to Virtual Citrix Ready Partner Pavilion at HIMSS 21. I'd like to start by introducing ControlUp and how ControlUp integrates with Citrix. So a little bit about ControlUp. So we have offices in the US, Europe, and Israel. So we're a global company. We monitor millions of individual objects, whether they be virtual machines or sessions, monitor thousands of hypervisors, and all of that data gets fed into machine learning where we can dig out some really useful information about what's happening globally as a community. ControlUp also integrates in with multiple different partners. We have Microsoft that we connect into. We can connect into VMware and ESXi. We obviously connect into Citrix with Citrix Hypervisor and the Citrix CVAD and Citrix Cloud products. As well, we connect in with NVIDIA for graphics that you might have in your environment. And we've got partnerships with iGel for their endpoint and for Nutanix with their hypervisor as well. So the architecture of ControlUp is actually pretty simple. There's the real-time monitor cluster that's kind of the heart of ControlUp and how we monitor your environment. They're essentially just Windows virtual machines that have the ControlUp service, monitor service installed. And then they connect into all your different resources in your environment and do the real-time monitoring, automation actions as well. So that data from the monitor cluster is then uploaded to the ControlUp Cloud, where we have our ControlUp Insights and ControlUp Solve that are used to actually report back on some performance information. So Solve is our monitor from anywhere web-based console. And as well, we've got two additional products. We've got synthetic monitoring with ControlUp ScoutBees that can connect into your Citrix resources, or even SaaS-based applications, as well as network monitors for it as well to monitor anything else within your environment. And ControlUp Edge DX, which is our monitor and management product for any physical endpoints that you might have that live outside of your environment. So anyone that works from home that is using like a corporate provided laptop, you install the ControlUp Edge agent on there, and we can get a lot more information and actually do management actions back in order to support those devices. When we talk about healthcare, what we've found is there's 5 specific pain points within a healthcare environment that ControlUp can solve pretty readily. And so the first one is ensuring patient care resources are available. Using ControlUp ScoutBees, we can actually connect in and make sure those resources are available. And if they become unavailable, you can get proactively alerted as soon as that happens. We actually have resource optimization scripts as well and automations that allow us to increase the performance for your VDI and EUC sessions. And we can do that by detecting idle sessions or disconnected sessions, essentially users who are not productive, but they still have sessions on your servers. And we can reduce their performance footprint by reducing their CPU utilization and memory footprint. As well, we can reduce logon times. We can do that by providing rich information as to which component in your environment might be causing long logons. And then as well, we can optimize unified communication platforms. So if you're using Teams or Zoom or anything like that, that Citrix has optimization plugins for, we actually have script actions that can detect whether it's running in an optimized fashion or not, and help guide you towards configuring it in an optimal way. And then lastly, this is new, we can actually analyze and optimize work and home networks in your environments. So let's get right into it. Let's get to the demo so we can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I've switched over to the ControlUp real-time console. And what we can see on the left here is we can see the hypervisors that we connect into. So again, we connect into Microsoft with Hyper-V, Nutanix with AHV, ESXi for their hypervisors, and of course Citrix hypervisor, formerly known as XenServer. For the EUC environments, you can see we connect into Citrix on-premises. So this is CVAD. Citrix virtual apps and desktops, and we also connect into Citrix Cloud. And in order to connect into each of these and integrate them into your environment, you can just right-click on the EUC environments folder and add the EUC environment, or you can click the EUC environments button up here. And then here we have our drop-down where you can choose what you want. So if you have multiple Citrix sites, you can just add multiple brokers. If you have different credentials, you can choose specific credentials for your different environments that you connect into. For Citrix Cloud, you need to generate the API key that we store as well. And then as well, we need your customer ID. And then that'll connect in the Citrix Cloud and pull down all your Citrix Cloud resources and what we can see there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through just a troubleshooting scenario. So I'm going to focus back on my hypervisors here. And we're going to talk about the real-time and remediation aspect of what ControlUp is capable of. Okay, so what we've done is we've focused on the hypervisors, and now we can look at all the different hypervisors that are in our environment. We can see that for our ESXi hosts, that I've got one host that's in medium, which is not typical. So I want to know why he's under some level of stress. And if I click on the three little buttons here, what ControlUp does is it tells me what's contributing to this stress column, and it's telling me data store read-write IOPS is contributing here. And sure enough, if I just look more to the right, it stands out like a sore thumb, like a red sore thumb, telling me that I've got this hypervisor is consuming 37,000 IOPS. And so if I click on the little menu icon next to it, I can actually get directed to drill into this hypervisor, and I can look at the different things within it that might be causing this issue. So if I go to the machines view, what ControlUp has done is it's now highlighting that we're investigating this particular issue. It's highlighted the column of interest, and it's taken some intelligence here, and it's telling me that it thinks that it's this virtual disk read-write IOPS that's causing my issues. So it's sorted all my virtual machines within here by this column. And I can see Tools 2012 VM seems to be the one that's having this issue. So if I right-click on this guy, I can actually take a remediation action now. So I can do things like I can refresh the machine group policy, I can reboot the machine if I think that might solve the issue. I can send messages to the users on that machine, or I can do a script action, which ControlUp can extend to do anything, almost anything that you want. But I'm still not quite sure what's causing this issue, so I'm going to continue my drill down into sessions. And then from here, we can see the sessions view. And again, ControlUp is highlighting the column of interest. It's sorted according to the area that it thinks is problematic. And it's telling me that this particular user might be causing our issue. And if I right-click on this user, again, I've got a different contextual menu now. So this is related to the sessions view. And I've got a different set of actions I can do. So I can do things now. I can get a session screenshot. And if you're in an environment where this is, sensitive and you want this to not be possible, we actually have the security policy down here where you can disable each of these menu options based on group or just outright. So if you only want to be able to shadow sessions with user approval, you could disable these two options and enable with user approval, or you can enable it just for help desk or just for your tier 4 administrators or anything like that. So for this particular user, I could start a chat and ask him, hey, what's going on? Why is this consuming so many IOPS? But I still don't quite know what's going on, so I'm going to click on this, and it's going to suggest that I drill down into the processes view. So I will do that, and what we have is now we can see the individual process that's causing this IO issue. So you can see we were all the way at the hypervisor level, and the impact of this one process was seen there all the way across our resources. And so if I right-click on this guy, again, I get a different contextual menu that's sensitive to the processes view, and I can do different management actions here. So I can end the process, I can kill the process, I can set process affinity. But what I'm going to do to solve this problem is I'm going to start CPU throttling this particular process. So I'm going to choose to throttle it to 4%. We can see the CPU is currently at 14. And if I hit OK, this is where the real-time aspect of ControlUp comes in. I've just taken an action and boom, now I can see the results of my action. I don't have to wait 5 minutes, I don't have to wait 15 minutes or anything like that in order to see it. So ControlUp has now given us that real-time view as to what's going on in this environment. So potentially that might have solved the issue. So I am actually just going to stop CPU throttling here just for a second. And I'm just going to show what the session screenshot looks like. So let's get a session screenshot for this particular user. And so boom, our session screenshot's up, and if I enable auto refresh, I'm now shadowing that user. So sometimes you'll see CPU go crazy if it's in an infinite loop or if something's wrong with the program, but I can see the UI on the software is actually updating. So I think what's happening is that this user, if I Google IO meter, I see it's a disk testing tool. They might have started some performance testing for the infrastructure and then forgot to turn it off. And so potentially that's what's going on. So I should reach out to this user and just make sure that they've completed all their tests before I mess with it too much. So I want to get into another healthcare focused aspect of it. So if I go to the sessions view here, what we can do is we can see that logon times is usually a pain point as well. So if I click on this, ControlUp is going to suggest we run some actions. And the top action is analyze logon duration. So when I select this, ControlUp is going to run analyze logon duration against this particular session, and it's going to break down all the different logon phases for this particular user. And we'll get some really interesting data as to what was causing the long logon times here. And boom, we get our analysis of the logon duration. And so here we can see group policy took 48 seconds. So what of group policy was causing our delay? Well, underneath, we actually break out to the individual CSEs that might be causing that delay. And so we can see group policy drive maps took 39.1 seconds. And we can actually see the individual GPOs that were a part of that delay. And so if we look underneath, we can actually see where that time was spent. So map drives 2 took 47 seconds out of the 48. So potentially map drives 2 is the one that's causing our long logon times. So boom, we were able to identify the specific group policy object that is having performance issues. Next, I would like to demo you just our integration with Epic. So if I go into like our PBS machines here, and if I right click on it, I can choose to look for our Epic integration SPA. And if I choose to run it, we point it to our System Pulse server, and ControlUp will prompt us for a date range for the workflow activity that we want to select. So I'm going to select the last week. It's going to connect into System Pulse and pull down the relevant information, including all of the workflow activities that was done on that machine. ControlUp will present it, and we'll select them, and then we'll get the data back. All right, so here's our workflows that occurred on that machine. So I'm going to choose login and maybe startup, and let's hit OK. And ControlUp's going to filter that data down for us and then present it to us. And boom, now we can see how our workflow performance was over that time period. So we can see we've got some average workflow times in red. We can see we've got the workflow counts in red and how many workflows that actually occurred for these logons. If I click and drag, I can actually zoom straight in. We can see we've got a tooltip hover over top that tells us how long the workflows was or what the counts was for each of these metrics. I can toggle them on and off by just clicking on them. So if we just wanted to see the red workflows, boom, we can see the red workflows just like that. So this particular one had one red workflow that took 10 seconds to log in. As well, what we can do is we can download this data as an SVG or a PNG, or if we enable all the data and zoom back out. So if I just go home, I can choose to download this data as a CSV, and I can actually present that to management or someone to say, hey, we need more resources on this particular machine. So that's ControlUp in a nutshell, as quickly as I can possibly make it. And in order to access ControlUp, we recommend you can download it from controlup.com. It's ControlUp. If you're in the IT space, it's a portable application. So if you know what a portable app is, it's just an exe you can just drag anywhere. You can host it on a file share. There's no prerequisites. There's no installer for it. You just download it, double click it, and you're up and running. So in order to get it to work, you just populate your dashboard by adding your resources, whether that's your Citrix Cloud site, your CVAD site, your hypervisor, anything like that. And then from there, we get step 3, where we install the agent on those machines, and we can start monitoring them, observe, analyze, and optimize, and use our automation platform to help optimize. We can use all the metrics within ControlUp to analyze and observe, and we can use ControlUp Insights to actually help analyze any historical data as well. So you can get set up in less than 5 minutes. So check us out at citrixready.com. Or citrixready.citrix.com as well. And if you search for ControlUp there, you'll see our 3 different products that I touched on earlier: ScoutBees, ControlUp Edge DX, and ControlUp Real-Time DXs, which is the demo that I gave you. And enjoy the rest of HIMSS. So thank you very much for attending this demo.